All right, so we'll try this again. Some people have been asking lately about exactly how I work on these drawings. I was going to do a video. I just tried to do one while I was working on this window, and that's a really difficult part of the drawing that I'm still not entirely happy with, and so the video is a disaster. So I just threw that out. I'm going to do something easier, something familiar. One of these traffic pylons here. That'll be that's sure to go well. So you can see I've got, if you look down the bottom right here, I've got my layers. So underneath everything, if I turn off the whole illustration group, there's my photo. And then I have another copy of the photo over top of the drawing here, so that you can see just the drawing on its own, or with this sort of translucent overlay, just so I can see where things are. And then if I'm wondering exactly what I'm looking at, then I'll turn off the whole illustration, just look at the photo. But otherwise, if assuming, I know this is a traffic cone, I know what those look like because I've drawn about 500 of them. So I'm just using the photo as a reference for just like exactly where the lines are, like where the outline goes. So here we're seeing the top of it, so we can see into that sort of hollow part up there. And these cones, I've drawn them so many times. I've got a standard way of drawing these cones, and sort of do the shading, and then I just try to correct the length of these lines a little bit to make them go all the way up to the top, but also to give you that curve that gives you tells the person looking at it what the shape is. And I add a little bit of shading to the sides in the light section. And then there's this little lip, so there's a little shadow under that lip. I do the same thing for the next layer. Careful here, because I don't want to draw into the beam there, but I also want to make sure that the lines go right up to the edge of it so that it doesn't have a halo around it. And here we got the next little lip. So good. I don't really know what's going on down here, but does it really matter? It's going to go there, and this is, I should, I guess, just repeat the texture that's around it. I can just go solid black there, no one's going to notice. That should look okay. Right. Down here, you can see we got some grass here, so I'm just gonna go in with like sort of scribbly. There's more here, but shorter. That's super straight, so I'm going to fix that. Oops. You can see here on the tire guard, for whatever reason, this one in reality just looks narrower than that one. Like if I turn off this, you can see I decided to make it wider just because it didn't, following the actual outline of the real thing, just didn't look right. I do that a lot. I sort of deviate from reality. You can put what looks good in the drawing ahead of what's actually there. Alright, so now I got all these tiles to draw. Sometimes. Fortunate. These are going to be about as tedious as the bricks from the other drawing, but fortunately there's not very many of them. Oh, I've drawn that too big. These tiles are actually, because of the perspective, they're actually oh man, this is going to be a nightmare. I'm not going to make you sit through an entire wall of these. I'm going to do 2 rows and then I'll stop the video and do the rest on my own without subjecting you guys to the horror that is my drawing life when it comes to surfaces like these. Especially getting the white lines of mortar between them to be all nice and straight. It's just, it's masochism at its finest. Alright, now I've drawn those enough. Fill them in. They're almost but not completely black. Turn off the photo for this so you can see that. Having the drawing overlaid tends to, when you're working on a dark area like this, it tends to, because the photo's never really totally black, so it tends to lighten everything up and then you don't really get the full effect. Use the eraser here and clean out. Like the mortar between the tiles to be nice and straight, so, and sort of relatively uniform. Let's say going with the eraser to clear up where my lines got a little bit too far out when it's too wide to go in. Just kind of clean up a little. And then, of course, I don't want the plaster to be completely white, so I'll go in and shade that a little bit as well. But just quite lightly. So there you go. That's basically how I work. I'm just gonna fix these. Don't want any too large areas of white in the tiles. So I don't really want them to look outlined like the other stuff does. Okay. Now I'm gonna before I quit, I'm gonna zoom out so you can see like what that is in terms of the whole drawing. So that there's the cone I drew and just those tiles are in there. So you can see I work at quite a high zoom. I'm gonna go stop the video.